And that can also plant in you a deep sadness that you're not going to get to see all that there is in the universe. But that shouldn't preclude you from being able to see all of the what is and is beautiful in this particular universe, which is your life. The things that you experience and that you encounter. Yeah, there's a lot that you're not going to see, and that can create a sadness in you. And then there's a lot that you're going to see, which can also create a sadness in you. But I hope that you can develop that intelligence to be able to see that the world is both of these. And even when it's ugly, it's still beautiful because it's full of potential. Or maybe, just to quote Dostoevsky, love is beautiful, even in the midst of sorrow. Musk made SpaceX, Elon Musk made Tesla. He also made 7 children with whom he has no relationship. Yeah. Now, we can sit there and go, what a piece of crap, a deadbeat. You know, he means like, and his defense, of course, is going to be, I pay for my kids. Of course, you're supposed to, though. That's the basic of what you're supposed to do. But, I don't know. Are you guys willing to sacrifice those 7 children so we can go to Mars? I am, because I want to go to Mars. I want to go to Mars. Yeah, I'm gonna drive my electric car down to the space shuttle and then fly to Mars. That'd be pretty dope. And I'm sorry that those 7 kids had to take one for the team, but you know, without Elon Musk being a crappy father, we wouldn't be going to Mars. Yeah. During nutrition, one of the students from our last period was in here, and we were talking about this distinction between sympathy and empathy. Empathy, we mostly get that one right. Empathy is to be able to feel what somebody else is feeling. So if you were in a car accident, you broke your leg, and then somebody else was in a car accident and broke their leg, you can empathize with them. You've been there before, so you can, oh my goodness, I can feel what you're feeling, and you can put yourself in somebody else's shoes. And the student was telling me that they thought of sympathy as being like to pity somebody, but this is different from pity. Pity is its own category. Pity is essentially you're putting yourself above somebody else, and you're feeling bad for them because they're not equal to you. So like you could say, oh my God, you're suffering for this thing. I pity you. I would never suffer from what you're suffering from. Like if you're extremely wealthy, you might say, and you don't believe there's any possibility that you could ever be poor, you might pity the poor. Say, I pity you. I feel, it's not a positive thing. Now, sympathy is not that though. Sympathy, you can see the words are very similar. Empathy, to feel inside of what somebody else is feeling, to be inside of that emotion. Sympathy is to be alongside the emotion. So this isn't necessarily I feel bad for you. This is I feel bad with you. Maybe you're going through, maybe you broke your leg in a car accident. I've never broken my leg in a car accident, but the fact that you do and that you're suffering for it, I can be sad because you're sad. I can be sad alongside you. I've never experienced it before, but just the fact that you're suffering, that you're sad is enough for me to feel bad also. And it's not like I feel bad for you. It's, man, I feel bad with you. And so you can't always encounter what somebody else is encountering in life. And by the way, you wouldn't necessarily want to. But what you can do is fill in those gaps with sympathy. So maybe what someone's going through, you've gone through 20% of what they're going through. Well, the other 80% can be filled in with sympathy. I feel bad for you, and I feel bad with you because you're going through this thing, and I care about you. And so, yeah, I feel bad just because you feel bad. Like you can tell the truth about something and then still feel bad about it because of the impact it has on somebody. Now, that doesn't have to stop you from telling the truth, but it can make you still feel bad for doing it. I wonder if you've ever told somebody the truth about something. It hurt their feelings, and then you're sad about it because it hurt their feelings, but my goodness, you've got to tell the truth. Having a lack of sympathy can maybe have the opposite effect, where we refuse to tell the truth because we don't want someone to feel bad. And that's because we don't want to feel bad alongside them. It's self-serving. A refusal to tell the truth is self-serving. I don't want to tell you the truth because then you're going to be sad, and if you're sad, I'm going to be sad. So I'm going to spare myself the sadness by not telling you the truth. A way of looking at it. And then, of course, pity, as I said, is something completely else. But so pain and suffering are always inevitable for a large intelligence and a deep heart. And I think what you're going to find is that that's going to largely be true, man. You know, we have this, if I were to ask you why does intelligence make us unhappy or sad? Oftentimes we'll kind of like, you know, scratch our chins and frown and just be like, because the world's a messed up place. Yeah. Is the world a messed up place? Is the world a beautiful place? Is the world a scary place? Is the world an exciting place? The answer is yes to all of those. It takes an intelligence to be able to recognize it, but the intelligence really comes in when you recognize the tension between those two things. The world is beautiful and the world is ugly. And my God, it changes on just the flip of a coin. Like you could be walking down the street one day and all of a sudden everything in your life changes because of a phone call that you get or because of something that you see, or you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And if you're aware of that, then you're aware of how precarious the world is, how fickle the world is, how it can just change like that. Even if you're like in the midst of observing something absolutely beautiful, and then suddenly all of a sudden the world just turns and it becomes ugly. And an intelligence is aware of those two truths. Unintelligence is going to be the world is spectacular, the world is ugly. No, intelligence is to be able to see both of them at the same time, accept them both as being true, and to somehow try to exist in a world, bless you, where those two things are true. Because if you're paying attention, it's hard to know what to feel about it all. Should you be happy about it? Should you be sad about it? Should you do this or who knows? I mean, I guess the answer is yes, but understand that means that you're now on an emotional roller coaster. You're excited, you're miserable, you're happy, you're sad, you're depressed, or maybe you're just one of those people who goes through life with a melancholy, you know. And that's what happens a lot of times with the deep intelligence, is that it creates a deep heart if you're really paying attention to it, because it creates a level of a melancholy where you're just so like you recognize it as beautiful, and it's also ugly, and that helps you to see the potential in it. Because the world is, I mean, it's incredible, man. You know, even when we say like all of the terrible things that have happened in the world have been done by people, and then we frown and just say, you know, we don't deserve dogs because dogs are so wonderful and loving. Do you know why dogs are wonderful and loving? Because we made them so. A wild dog, if you ever encounter a wild dog, a dingo, wild dogs are not gentle and loving. You've seen those videos, I'm sure, on Instagram of like, you know, like Russians who wrestle with bears. Yeah, go try that in the wild. That's a domesticated bear. It's been made more docile by humans.
Russians.
Yeah, by Russians. Yeah, not by humans, but by Russians. There's something else. There's something different. And if you think that bears are just naturally sweet and kind, man, go play with a polar bear in the wild. Find out. I saw this video a couple of years ago. One of my old jiu-jitsu coaches posted it, and he just said something to the effect of like Mother Nature just doesn't care. And it was a guy in his house, and you just hear this like this horrible, wretched screaming, like a person who's just screaming because they're dying. And this person's got his cell phone, and he's going through, and it's not a human being at all. He goes to his back door. It's like a glass door, and he's looking in the backyard, and there's a deer back there, and a bear has the deer by the throat, and this deer is trying to struggle and is letting out this most like just almost like nightmare-inducing scream if you've never heard that before. You didn't see that in Bambi, did you? It's because Mother Nature just doesn't care. But now if you take that same bear as a cub and you bring him inside, you know, he's domesticated. So yeah, there are ugly things in the world, but my God, we also make them so much more beautiful. I mean, there's some incredible things in the world, man. I remember one time, it was a long time ago, I was going through I was visiting someplace else. I was in the middle of this desert, and there's this thing coming out of the sand. It's the head of a man, and it's the body of a lion. Middle of the desert, middle of nowhere. And if you look in the background, it's got these three big giant stone pyramids back there, which if you see a picture of, is nothing at all like what you see in real life, man. You should go see it sometime.
Have you?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I stood there. And I looked at it, and I stood in the shade that Napoleon rallied his troops under when they fought the Mamelukes. It's incredible, dude. There's this tower over a little further east from here. It's just an iron tower. You can see pictures of it all the time. It's just this tower that just goes. And yet, if you go there and you stand in it, you can look at it and say, I see why people call this the city of love in Paris. Because that tower that's there is just unbelievable, man. And those things are made by humans. You know, every war we say has been started by humans, which, by the way, is not true. If you're not familiar with the chimpanzee war, you should be. But I know one thing is that chimpanzees didn't care for their enemies the way that you see it happen among humans. And there's no compassion in the animal kingdom. That's a thing that's specific and unique towards humans. And I don't just mean a compassion towards people we love, but compassion towards people who we don't get along with. People who we're at war with. We can be shooting at somebody on Monday and be treating them on Tuesday. That's the thing that's special and unique to humans. So how can you feel about that? Pain and suffering? Joyous? Yeah, if you have a large intelligence, you can recognize the nuances all the way throughout there. And it becomes hard, like I said, because if you're really doing it, man, it creates a deep melancholy in you. Where, you know, every day you're not sad, you're not miserable, but man, you long for the idea that there could be something better because you know that there can be, because you've seen it. You've seen it before. And that puts you in hopefully a deep heart, just kind of longing that, wouldn't it be great if, you know? It can almost make you an eternal optimist to the point where you think that things are going to get better. Why? Just because they have to, right? They have to. Why? Just because they have to. And you're just hoping that you're there to see it when it does turn around. Yeah, it's a great sadness on earth, but the truth is that your body's inhabiting this earth, but your mind and your soul are probably inhabiting someplace that's not so terrestrial. Your mind and I don't know, any of you guys like looking at the stars? Any of you guys, I wonder how many of you guys are that melancholy where you look up at the stars and you're just like, man, I want to go. You know? You ever look at one of the stars and just be like, I want to see the planets that circle that star. I want to go there because they too have a Grand Canyon. They too have, you know, some fantastic rainforests or something maybe. You know, they don't have humans there, so they probably don't have pyramids or a Sphinx or an Eiffel Tower. They don't have chimps, so there's probably no chimpanzee war going on there. But they do have some incredibly beautiful things, probably some landscapes. And then you can look at the stars and realize that there's 500 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Each of those stars is orbited by planets that have some incredible wonders to explore and to see. And you'll never get to go there. You'll never get to see them. And then you realize that our one galaxy with those 500 billion stars multiplied by, I think 6 is the average solar system size, that many planets. And you realize that one galaxy we're talking about is one of about 2 trillion that we can observe in the universe. And you realize that there's such an incredible number of wonders out there to see. And then you can hopefully snap out of it and realize, I haven't even seen the beauties of this planet completely yet. And that can also plant in you a deep sadness that you're not going to get to see all that there is in the universe. But that shouldn't preclude you from being able to see all of the what is and is beautiful in this particular universe, which is your life. The things that you experience and that you encounter. Yeah, there's a lot that you're not going to see, and that can create a sadness in you. And there's a lot that you're going to see, which can also create a sadness in you. But I hope that you can develop that intelligence to be able to see that the world is both of these. And even when it's ugly, it's still beautiful because it's full of potential. Or maybe, just to quote Dostoevsky, love is beautiful, even in the midst of sorrow. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? Happy Thursday.